Being fast is fantastic. It's great. It means that you have done all that you can to win a race or to maximize what you know about your own ability to run. And that doesn't matter what distance you're running, whether it's a 40-yard dash or the 100-meter dash or the mile or a 5K or a 10K or a marathon. Being fast may not be what it's all cracked up to be, especially if you haven't reached your potential. Now, by that, I mean, maybe you've reached your potential for the workouts that you're doing, or the amount of rest that you got, or how strong you are, or how flexible you are, or the amount of racing you've done. But how do you really know what your potential is? Because you don't know what you don't know unless you measure it. And when I'm talking about measuring, I'm not just talking about time or distance if you're in a field event or height. I'm talking about measuring you. And you, as an athlete, are the one who really gets to set your own ceiling. And here at TrackFIT, what we do is help you discover what your limitations are. Because I ask all the time, why should the world record be the standard that you have to live up against? I mean, until Usain Bolt ran 9.5 in the 100-meter dash, people thought that 9.7, 9.8 was as fast as you could go. And look now, you've got all kinds of athletes stacking up around 10 flat, 9.8, 9.9 on the men's side. And on the women's side, Florence Griffith Joyner ran 10.49, gosh, many, many years ago, over 30 years ago. But that's still the standard. Why hasn't someone surpassed it? Regardless of what you believe those athletes did to achieve their results, they were still their results, not yours. I'm Zig Ziegler, the sports kinesiologist, and welcome to Are You TrackFit right here on TrackFit TV. Today, I'm going to share with you some insight on what TrackFit can do to help you reach your full potential. How much faster could an athlete become if we understood more than just time? Ask yourself that question. How much faster could they be? How much faster could you be? Look, being fast is great, don't get me wrong, but is it enough? And I'm talking about at any distance from the 40-yard dash to the marathon, it doesn't matter. We base the success of someone off of what place they finished or how fast they ran. But that's not enough. You see, a stopwatch can tell you the time, it can tell you what happened, but it can't always tell you what was left on the track in the race or on the runway. Doesn't matter. All you know is how fast you ran. What was that overall finishing mark that you got? That's the question that we're asking today. How much faster could an athlete become if we understood more than just time? You see, speed gets attention. A fast time gets talked about. A personal best gets celebrated by everybody. Rankings get noticed when you talk about who's the fastest in the country or in the state or wherever you might be. But none of those things automatically mean the athlete has reached their full potential. No athlete, no matter what sport or activity, has reached their true potential. Not one. You see, the question isn't just how fast did you run or what place did you get. The better question is, how fast could you become? Because the stopwatch doesn't always tell the whole story. A stopwatch just gives you the results. It does not fully explain how the athlete produced the time, what the athlete left on the track, and whether conditions helped or hurt. It doesn't tell you whether the athlete has more speed available. They could have run faster. What the athlete may be capable of over time is also missing. Sure, a lot of coaches can guess. A lot of coaches say, hey, I can look at you and see how much faster you could have run. Or they walk you through your race and they say, oh, you see over here when this happened, that's where you should have done this or you should have done that. But see, that's why TrackFit doesn't just look at time. TrackFit looks at the quality of the athlete's movement that produced the time. You see, two athletes can run the same time and not produce the same quality of performance. One athlete could run faster with a great start and clean acceleration and good rhythm and strong posture and a great finish. And another athlete might run the same time with a poor start, wasted motion, bad timing, tightening up late, or poor transition. Same time. Different athlete. different future, and a different amount left on the track. Those are the things that we're talking about. The time tells you the result, but it doesn't always tell you what the athlete left behind. Conditions, you know what? They also matter. One time is not always equal to another time. A 10.80 or even a 10 flat for that matter, it's not always the same quality of performance as another 1080 or 10 flat or a 4-minute mile or a 530 mile. They're all different. How you responded to a headwind versus a tailwind. Look, it changes how much resistance the athlete fights and whether or not they know how to fight that resistance too. Hot and cold temperatures, they affect the body, the surface that the athlete is running on, the rhythm of the athlete, and the readiness of the athlete when they were warming up. We look at times different in one city or one state or one country. We evaluate all those things differently. Lane conditions, if you were in an inside lane or an outside lane, or if you were close to the competition, those are all things that matter. The travel or fatigue that you might have as a result of travel, or maybe you just didn't get a good night's sleep the night before. How did that affect your body? The meet setup. Did you have time to warm up? Were there delays or was there timing issues? The environment matters. All of those things affect how an athlete performs on the track. Even nowadays, whether or not the athlete had old spikes or new spikes, man, I wish I had the opportunity to run in the spikes they run in today. And I'm sure a lot of old heads do too, because we're seeing phenomenal performances from athletes that we probably wouldn't expect them from just because of the shoes that they're wearing. So when we compare athletes and times, we have to ask more than what was the time. We also have to ask, what was the quality of that performance based on the data, not just guessing or opinion. And every coach and every athlete and every parent and every spectator has got an opinion. You know what they say about opinions? I ain't going to say it here, but we all know. Look, trackflation is real. I mean, we're seeing more athletes run faster now than we ever have in history. Everybody's piling up around 10 flat. Or if you didn't run 9.9, you didn't make the finals in the last World Championships, or maybe it was the Olympics. I'm not sure which one it was. You got to be fast in the 100 meters or times in the 800 meters. Look at how they're exploding. You got a high school athlete that has run the top time in the world. But still, trackflation is real. The advantages of competing today versus 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Knowledge is power, and athletes have access to more knowledge today than they ever have thanks to social media. We live in the information age. But I caution you, it can also be considered the misinformation age. Yes, there were some advantages that some coaches gave to athletes because they had more knowledge or they got to experiment more. But most of the success that you see today from coaches comes from those coaches having access to better athletes. And I caution you this, if the best coaches, quote unquote, or teams get access to the best athletes, are they really the best coaches? Because most coaches are all doing the same thing nowadays. But if you get an athlete that starts out at 10 flat versus another coach who has an athlete that starts at 10.3 and you all do the same workout, who's going to be the better coach on paper because they had an athlete that won more? That's what this is all about. It's about giving every athlete and every coach the opportunity to have a chance to be the best that they can be. The numbers are getting faster, but the deeper question is still, how much of the performance came from the athlete and how much came from the environment or the coach? Where are you? And how do you know where you are? TrackFIT was built to look deeper so that every coach and athlete could see the unseen. Let me give you some real world examples. Usain Bolt. People say, oh man, he's the fastest, the best ever. But how much faster could he have been? Even if you look at the races that he set world records in, he slowed down to celebrate. And people go, well, he won, he accomplished it, and he still set the record. So we got to give him his due. We absolutely do. But man, he could have put it so far out there that we'd be talking for the next 10, 15, 20 years about his performances because he had a gift. He had the tools, he had the body structure, he had the size, he had the strength, he had the speed, he had the power, he had recovery, he had all these things that you could say gave him an unfair advantage. I mean, think about it. The guy was 6'5" competing against the average sprinter who was less than 5'10". But most of them, no, they're 5'7" to 5'9" guys. And don't get me wrong, those guys were fast, but they didn't have the potential. Their body didn't have the tools, the gifts that Usain Bolt had. Look, Florence Griffith Joyner. Look, sprint history has said that it was windy that day. Indianapolis had high winds, so a lot of people say, oh, she didn't really run that fast or it was wind aided. Well, we don't know. But more importantly, what we really don't know, what were her outputs other than time? We can use some advancements in technology and draw guesses where we calculate, the start time and reaction time and, interval times for every 10 meters and so forth, and maybe even potentially calculate miles per hour, how fast she ran, or meters per second. People calculate that. But do they really know when and what was causing that for her? Track already knows equipment can influence time. Shoot, when I started hurdling, the hurdles were wood, and you did not want to hit those hurdles. Let me tell you, I got a knot on my big toe right now on my trail leg from hitting those hurdles with my trail leg. Now we got nice lightweight hurdles that, the weights adjust, and it's all for the benefit of the athlete. More athletes are fast, but the deeper still question is, what is the quality and context and potential that we don't know? What do we not know that we need to know? I always say you don't know what you don't know you needed to know until it's too late. TrackFIT predicts potential, predicts what's left on the track today. That's what the athlete might have missed in their current performance. A lot of coaches can say, oh, you could have run 0.2 of a second faster, or you could have run 5 seconds faster because of race strategy or conditions or how you approach this or that, or you didn't run the race you were supposed to run. How do they know? How do they know what you were dealing with physically? They don't. What's the potential over your next 6 to 18 months? That's the question TrackFIT answers. What you left on the track today, and how much faster can you be in the next 6 to 18 months? Based on you. Not based on your event, but based on you. What's your lifetime potential based on your body? Based on the physical tools that you bring to the event that you're participating in. Are you in the right event? Look, you've got world-class 400-meter runners now shifting to the 800 meters on the women's side. Why? Were they in the wrong event? They had success. Or did they just decide, let me see what else is out there? Because that 400-meter hurdles, let me tell you, I ran it, is a demanding event. Where are you? What's your potential? TrackFIT is not just asking how fast you are today. It's also asking what's available to you that you don't know. So athletes, let me ask you some questions. Do you think that you are your PR? Because I would ask the question, when did you run your PR? What track did you run it on? What were the conditions that you ran it on? Was it wind aided? Was it 1 mile per hour wind? Was it a negative wind? Was it a 2 mile per hour wind? My 110-meter hurdle time, fully automatic. But I don't know the difference between one race or another race because the conditions were not the same. The tracks were not the same. The wind was not the same. My rest was not the same. I was not the same. You're not just your ranking today. You're not just your last race. You might be faster, potentially, than your current results show. And TrackFit is designed to help you and your coaches discover what is still available. What's possible for you? Coaches, I got a message for you too. You already know that two athletes can run the same time, but be different. Not just in terms of the time or their race strategy, they've got different strengths and weaknesses and physical limitations that affect the way they run the race. But yet, as coaches, what do? We teach them all to run the race the same way. That's a flaw. Now, if they had all the same gifts, you can teach them to run the race exactly the same. That means the same height, same weight, same strength, same flexibility, same speed and turnover rate, same explosiveness, same power ratings, same pounds of force application, same efficiency, same technique. What is it that we're missing, though? And we say, oh, we treat every athlete different. No, you don't. You know how I know you don't? Because the workout says sprinters over here. And you know what's different? Maybe the interval time you ask them to make. Maybe the amount of rest time they have to take because their recovery is a little different. But most of the time, you don't give them different recovery. You give them the same amount. Who's got more available, coach? And how do you know? Do you know? No, you don't. I've been using technology for the last 30 years. We didn't call it AI technology. We called it predictive analytics when we analyzed the biomechanics of athletes in baseball and soccer and golf and shooting basketballs and even running. We called it predictive analytics, where we would look at their biomechanics and their metrics, and we could determine what their physical limitations were. So TrackFit isn't new. It's just the way we use it today. But you see, true coaching is about treating every athlete differently, giving each athlete the opportunity to be the best that they can be. That's what this is all about. It's about discovering what each athlete is capable of. This is why TrackFit powered events matter. And we're introducing TrackFit to events all around the country, starting with Las Vegas, Phoenix, LA, San Diego, moving to Florida and Dallas and Houston. Oh, we're coming to you. And in TrackFit events, if you want to get ranked in TrackFit, it's not just about your time, it's about your potential. Imagine as a college coach looking at times of athletes and being able to see who's got something left in the tank, who's got something left for you to develop. We're seeing eighth graders run world-class times now in the top 10 in the world, or the top 20, or the top 30. Wow. Those are phenomenal times. But are they going to be tapped out? And if it's possible to get more out of them, wouldn't you want to know? I would as a coach. I'd want to know. TrackFit. We're going to answer a lot of questions for athletes and coaches and parents. How do you get there? It starts with creating a verified performance. And verified performances can become the beginning of establishing a TrackFit profile, a TrackFit ID. And it's the start of your ranking journey that's more than just your time. Every athlete that participates in a TrackFit event has the opportunity to get a TrackFit report that shows exactly what they need to do to reach their potential, or at least close the gap. That's what you want to do, is you want to close the gap. Over time, you get comparisons of your race and how you performed beyond your time. Oh, by the way, it's not just racing. It's long jump, hurdles, high jump. If it's an event that can be measured, we can do it with TrackFit. And you can find out what's possible for you. Even the 40-yard dash, you're playing football, doesn't matter flag football or full contact. What's your real 40-yard dash potential? That's what we're able to show you. That's the road to the WITFL. and being ranked by more than just your time. And like I said, it starts with one verified performance. That is how athletes begin to move away from just having a result to understanding what that result truly means. So like I said, to start this off, being fast is great, but being fast is not enough. The real question is whether the athlete has reached everything available in their body. And let me tell you, there is so much more out there for you. Look, every step you take is an opportunity to improve. Every step. But you got to measure every step. That's the only way you can do it. You don't just measure every 10 yards. You don't just measure the race. You don't just take coach's feedback. Coach's feedback might be great, but your coach can't see inside your body and when you started to break down and why that caused you to not perform the way they expected you to perform. Every performance, every step, every stride, every fraction of a second, every change in degree of your range of motion. That's what TrackFIT tells us. And that's how it can predict what's possible for you. Are you TrackFIT? Want to know what you and your athletes could be leaving on the track? Find a TrackFIT event. Create a free TrackFIT account and start your journey to discovering what you can do to improve how your body moves and reach your potential. Hey, I'm Zig Ziegler, the sports kinesiologist and the commissioner of the World Indoor Track and Field League, and you're tuned into Are You TrackFIT on TrackFIT TV. Learn more at trackfit.tv or areyoutrackfit.com.